Welcome back to this series where I turn pride flags into Pokemon teams. For this video, I'm focusing on the trans flag for today, because I'm trans. Today, I am using a full team of Pokemon with the colors of the trans pride flag. If you have any pride flags that you would like to see become a Pokemon team, please comment them down below and I will use them. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. I would really appreciate it because I'm doing these teams for the entirety of Pride Month and even sometime after. There are actually quite a lot of Pokemon that share this color scheme. One of the first that should come to mind is Sylveon. That Pokemon has the specific trans color shades, so of course it has to be on this team. I feel like another Pokemon people think a lot about with this color scheme is Hatterene. That Pokemon just embodies that color scheme as a whole. We love Hatterene. And of course, as a trans woman, I gotta say, I'm a slut for witches. Another obvious pick is Azumarill. Of course, if you didn't know, prior to Pokemon X and Y, if you had a female Azurill and you evolved it into Marill, there was a chance that it would evolve into a male Marill because of the gender ratio being different between the two Pokemon, which made Marill the canonical first transgender Pokemon until they took that away from them. Now, the next Pokemon that has this color scheme is Primarina. Primarina has those pink accents, and Primarina just looks like an absolute queen. We love Primarina. We support Primarina. Now, the last two Pokemon on this team are both shiny, and Inteleon Shiny definitely embodies the colors of the trans pride flag, especially since it has a lot of white on it. Now, the last slot on this team was originally going to be one of the Porygons, but in the end, I actually went with Shiny Politoed. I thought Shiny Politoed definitely has the colors of the trans pride flag, but in addition, it also helps my water types because it has Drizzle, and on top of that, it makes it so that my team is a third fairies, a third water type, and a third water fairy type. And if that's not the most trans-coded team ever, I don't know what is. So that's the team that I'm going to be using for this trans flag team. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using a trans flag team. Now, of course, this had to be one of the first pride flags that I tackled for Pride Month. I'm doing these teams. If you haven't checked out the playlist yet, I really recommend it. And I have two interesting battles to showcase in this video. And this battle was so good. It was like down to the wire, this battle. So Thundurus is going to lead off and go for the Volt Switch against their Politoed. They have a Politoed of their own. We both have a Rain team. But I'm running a Choice Banded Sylveon, and that double has just done so much damage to the Politoed. Now, I really didn't want to take an attack like a Weather Ball from it, so I actually opted to swap into my Primarina. And this is a specially defensive Primarina, although I do have a lot of speed to outspeed like Corviknight, which typically doesn't run any speed. So the Gliscor is going to come in. I thought, okay, this is good. I have a strong Psychic Noise, which is actually boosted by Liquid Voice. Or not boosted, but it becomes a Water type move because of Liquid Voice. It just barely takes out the Gliscor though, and they knock off my leftovers, which is unfortunate. Now this Primarina has Draining Kiss. It has Psychic Noise, Encore, and Haze, and it's like a specially defensive set. So Thundurus is going to come in. I honestly expected them to want to go for like Thunder Wave, because I could easily take them out with the Psychic Noise, and I really did not want my my Primarina getting paralyzed. Also, I knew that I could potentially tank a Thunder as well, but I also did not want to like risk that. So they're gonna opt to Terrasilize their Thundurus into Terra Steel. Now that's a fair Terra against my Hatterene. Normally, Hatterene runs like special moves like Psychic Noise of itself, and they are going to go for the Snarl, which under 99% of circumstances would actually affect Hatterene. But I went for the Trick Room this turn, and I'm also running a physical Hatterene. So this is a Swords Dance Hatterene. I have Play Rough, and I have Psycho Cut with Terra Normal. Now, as I set up the Swords Dance, I really can't do much to this Thundurus, and my team is like 2/3 of my team is like water type, so I have like no switches into this, and they paralyzed me as well. So I thought, well, okay, that done a lot of damage. I'm hoping that I could get off at least a +2 player off. It should be still doing a decent chunk of damage, even though it's Terra Steel. But unfortunately, I missed, and that's going to be the end of my Hatterene, which is unfortunate. But I thought That's fine. I do have the Trick Room up at the very least, and I'm gonna swap into my Politoed now. Now, this is a more offensive Politoed. I do have Damp Rock because the rain is very important for this team, and so I wanted the max amount of rain turns possible. The Weather Ball is thankfully enough to take out this Thundurus. Holy smokes, that was a great KO, especially since that Pokemon just clicked Thunder against my team. Now, Dragonite is going to come in. They are going to go for the Outrage, and holy smokes, that just one-shots my Politoed. I was like, wow, I'm not sure if this is maybe like Choice Banded or what, or if that's just regular damage. But now they're locked into Encore, and now they're locked in with me and my Azu. Now, I have this nickname Drummond coming because you may think this is a Belly Drum Azumarill, but I'm actually running a bit of a hoax, a bit of a fib. This is a Perish Song Whirlpool Azumarill. Now, the idea of this set is to trap in the opponent with Whirlpool, and then I could go for Perish Song, and then I have max defense on this as well. I do have some speed as well for Blissey, mainly, because this Pokemon has base 50 speed, and I wanted to outspeed Blissey, which is at base 55, and Blissey never typically runs speed, so I have this for Blissey, and now I locked in the Dragonite. I'm speeding up this part of the battle as well, because I'm basically stalling out this Dragonite's Perish Song. Now they do have extreme speed, so I was like, okay, well, this Dragonite isn't Choice Banded. Dang, this must be like adamant to take out my my Politoed then. Now this has Terra Ground, and I'm also running Sap Sipper on this as well. One, because having a grass immunity for this team is really, really important. It gives me a Meowscarada check as well. And two, because you know, people may not expect Sap Sipper from Azumarill. They may just expect me to be huge power, especially since I'm running Rain, and like Rain boosted liquidations from this Azumarill would be doing a lot of damage. Now, the last move I have on this is Sing, and I actually land the Sing versus the Dragonite, and that's going to allow me to bring in my Inteleon safely because they hadn't really burned any turns of sleep. So I was like, okay, this is good. They're going to get taken down to the Perish Song this turn, and it was actually a leftovers Dragonite as well, so it's really, really good to get rid of that Pokemon. Even though I have, like, a lot of Fairy types on this team, it's just good to get rid of Dragonite, because they could always Terra Normal E-Speed. So, Kingdra's going to swap in. Obviously, this is going to be one of their Rain Abusers. They are going to go for the Draco Meteor as I bring back in my Azumarill, so I was like, okay, well, that's good. They actually swap out their Kingdra, so I was thinking that they might be a choice in some way. Now, the Gliscor is going to come in. I'm actually going to double swap just in case that they weren't choice into my Primarina because I can tank basically any special hit. So the Gliscor is going to go for the Earthquake. Holy jeez, it does a lot of damage because they crit me, unfortunately. And I'm going to go for the Psychic Noise and take out the Gliscor. Wasn't really the biggest threat because I have a bunch of water types on this team anyway. And they have Rain of their own, so I don't really have to worry about like preserving my own Rain. Now, Sneasler comes in. This was a really risky play on my part, but I opted to Terrasilize into a Steel type, either anticipating one, that they would go for a Dire Claw because it would be super effective versus me, or two, that they may set up the Swords Dance on my swap. And they do set up the Swords Dance. I was like, okay, that's really good because on this turn I opted to go for the Encore, and I was like, I was honestly really worried about them going for like Terra Normal Fake Out, which is not Terra Normal, a Normal Gem Fake Out, which is why the Terra was such a risk. But I was able to force a swap on the Sneasler. I wasn't sure what item it was running. At this point, I genuinely thought it was it could be not Air Balloon, Focus Sash. That's what it could be running. I'm gonna swap out my Primarina. I really need that Pokemon for Kingdra, and I was worried about this Politoed potentially having Earth Power, which it does, so I'm able to safely swap in my Inteleon. Now, this is a Choice Scarf Modest Nature Inteleon, and I have Weather Ball on this with Rain, and I have Surf as well, and Ice Beam and U-Turn on that set with Terra Water. So, bringing back in my Azumarill, and they're going to bring back in their Sneasler. They actually go for the close combat, anticipating my Primarina to swap in. I was like, well, first of all, I never wanted to risk my Primarina, because honestly, this Azumarill was just meant to be for a sack, and unfortunately, I missed my Whirlpool. I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to break their Focus Sash just in case they had it. So they are going to go for the Dire Claw. That's going to take out my Azumarill, and I thought, okay, if I go for Weather Ball, I'm going to break their Focus Sash, and I really don't want this Sneasler getting unburdened as well, so I'm just going to go for the Ice Beam, but they end up being Citrus Berry. I was like, oof, In hindsight, I definitely feel like I should have weatherballed, but like I was really not expecting Citrus Berry, which is going to make things close because I was really relying on my Choice Banded Quick Attack from my Sylveon to take out this Sneasler, but thankfully it does because of the close combat defense drop. The last Pokemon is the Kingdra in Rain, and I figured that my, holy smokes, that Quick Attack did a lot of damage. I figured that my Primarina should be able to tank even a Hydro Pump from this Kingdra in Rain. So my my Sylveon gets taken out. It's down to a 1v1. They're Life Orb Kingdra, and the rain stops. So I was like, okay, now they're outside of rain. I should be able to tank a Hydro Pump. But they go for Draco Meteor, and I actually easily lived that. I was like, oh my gosh. They might only have a Weather Ball. With Weather Ball, obviously in Rain, it becomes a Water move, and that might be their only Water move to hit me. So I'm gonna go for the Draining Kiss. That's gonna take out the Kingdra, and that's the end of that first game. Seriously, what a crazy close game. That was like super close, honestly. I really hope you all enjoyed that game. And if you're enjoying this video, please consider hitting the like button so that more people can see these types of videos. And I would really appreciate the reach. So, on to the second game. My opponent is going to lead Cobalion. This was also a pretty interesting battle. It definitely had a really funny moment in it. So, I'm going to swap out my Sylveon. That was a terrible lead matchup on my part. Now this turn I was a little conflicted because typically a lead Cobalion would always want to like go for Stealth Rock, and I anticipated that they may either go for Stealth Rock this turn or like Volt Switch out. So I brought in my Magic Bounce Hatterene. Unfortunately, that did not work out because they just opted to Iron Head. It does so much damage to me. I was like, okay, well, now I have to risk swapping out again. And if they go for Stealth Rocks this turn, well, they got me, right? So, bring in my Inteleon. I should be able to tank an Iron Head, which I am able to. And I easily threaten this with a Weather Ball. They don't swap, and that Weather Ball just absolutely eviscerates Cobalion. Thank goodness I don't have to worry about the Stealth Rocks. So in comes Thundurus, another Thundurus. Oh my goodness, I have no switches into this. So I opted to stay in. They do paralyze me, which is unfortunate because this Inteleon could have easily been a win condition. But I wanted to take out this Thundurus. Thankfully, I don't get paralyzed. And the Thundurus just gets absolutely one-shot by my Weather Ball. This Pokemon hits so hard with Weather Ball. Now, the Mean Shao is going to come in next, and I don't really have much that wants to handle this Pokemon. Wasn't sure what item it was running either, so I just opted to stay in with my Inteleon, and that's going to be the end of me. But they do have defense drops, and I can easily bring in my my Choice Banded Sylveon. Now, this has Double Edge and Quick Attack on it. I also have Facade, just in case I get statused. Oh my god, Sawsbuck comes in on my Double Edge, and Sawsbuck just gets... Was there even a Sawsbuck in this game? It just gets absolutely deleted. Holy smokes. So I'm going to take some recoil damage. That Sawsbuck just got absolutely one-shot. And they're going to bring in the Chandelure now. Now I have an easy switch into my Primarina, but I don't want to really swap that in. It's unfortunate because like this Hatterene, it's really hard to set up because you have to rely on Trick Room and Swords Dance as well, which is why I have Citrus Berry just to like offset any damage with like potential healing. So I'm gonna bring in my Politoed now. Now I should be able to threaten this easily with a Weather Ball. They are gonna swap out their Chandelure and they're gonna go into the Hydreigon. So I was like, okay, well, typically Hydreigon either runs Nasty Plot or like Choice Scarf or maybe Choice Spec. So I was expecting like a Dark Pulse to maybe come out this turn. I have an easy switch into my Primarina as well, and they are gonna go for the Dark Pulse. I was like, okay, I should be able to handle basically anything this Hydreigon goes for, because I'm like, this Pokemon has a lot of special defense. It is crazy. Now they are gonna go for the Flash Cannon. I actually thought that they may swap out into the Chandelure, maybe like anticipating a fairy move. So I went for the Psychic Noise that turn, but they opted to stay in. So I was like, okay, well, this turn, I'm going to go for the Draining Kiss now. And if they swap in their Chandelure, well, it is what it is, right? So they are just going to go for another Flash Cannon, just trying to weaken me. And I'm going to go for the Draining Kiss, and that's going to take out the Hydreigon easily. And on top of that, it's basically going to make its Flash Cannons kind of like it didn't never happen, right? So I'm going to go for the Draining Kiss, take out the Hydreigon. And the last two Pokemon are a Mean Shao, which I am still very afraid of, especially if it's a Mean Shao that has a Poison Jab or Gunk Shot, and the Chandelure. So, the Mean Shao comes in. I don't want to Terrasilize because then I would become weak to it. So I opted to bring in my Sylveon. I was honestly expecting to sacrifice it, but they're just going to go for the knockoff and knock off my Choice Band, which I thought was interesting. Maybe they wanted to knock off my leftovers. This was an amazing turn. So Chandelure comes in. I actually have Copycat on this as my last move. And since the Misha went for the knockoff the turn before, I was able to hit the Chandelure with the super effective knockoff. It does so much damage, and I knock off his choice specs. I was not expecting that turn to go the way it did. Oh my goodness. So the Chandelure is going to Terrasilize now. It's going to Terra Grass. So I imagine that they might want to go for like the Terra Grass Energy Ball, which is definitely very threatening into my team. But since I knocked off the choice specs, the Chandelure is going to go for the Energy Ball. And I take it barely thanks to the fact that they no longer have the choice specs. And the Double Edge is going to take out the Chandelure. Oh my gosh, I did not expect that series of turns to go the way that it did. The physical Copycat Sylveon actually ended up being so nice in this game. So the last Pokemon is the Minxiao. I'm going to go for that quick attack. I'm not locked in with Choice Band anymore, so it does a huge chunk of damage, and they are going to take me out with the close combat. Seriously, I can't believe that I was able to get off a Copycat knockoff against a Chandelure. I was not expecting that. So that's going to be the end of my Sylveon. Maybe this Minxiao is like Choice Scarf or Choice Bandit. I wasn't sure, so I wanted to set up the rain with my Politoed. They're gonna go for another close combat. Oh my goodness, that takes me out in one shot. I was like, geez, this Pokemon is just super strong. But I'm gonna go for the opportunity here to get a very rare KO. So they're -2 special defense, and well, they're -3 now. They went for another close combat. I tanked that, even a crit, because I'm like fully defensive. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go for the Whirlpool. It's boosted by Rain, and I'm going to see if I can get a Whirlpool KO. And I end up KOing the Minxiao with Whirlpool. When are you ever going to see a Whirlpool KO? That's the end of these two battles. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this Trans Pride team. My name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.